educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's real estate authority. That is Barb Schlinker. Barb is a retired Navy veteran. Barb Schlinker is an author. She's a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air your real estate voice every Saturday, and if you can't listen to the entire show, it's always available by just going to Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just search Barb Schlinker. You'll find her on most of the popular podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, that sort of thing. Every week, the Real Estate Voice covers Every week, your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the largest assets most people have, their home. Barb, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I'm excited about today's show, Richard, because we're going to cover some important things that I think that my listeners out there should hear about. First of all, I believe the Colorado real estate market is really showing some signs of weakening. We're all the showings have slowed down substantially or almost gone away. It's like, what happened to the buyers? And I know the interest rate has an impact on it and also the season. However, we're going to deep dive into that and we'll talk about the numbers. We're also going to talk about what are the most common questions asked by home sellers and the answers. I get a lot of questions from home sellers. People call me all the time asking for advice for other real estate agents' clients. So I thought I'd share some of that with you and just give you insight of what the questions are and what my answer would be. Also, this question was probably the more prominent one that we're getting is, how do I know if my agent's doing a good job selling my home? Because, people don't do this every day. They don't know what is supposed to be done. And in fact, in the industry, there is no standardization whatsoever to be a real estate agent. It's 1 month of school. You go hang your license with a broker, and the broker says, go sell, figure it out, bring me some of that commission. That was my experience when I started. I don't think it's changed that much over the years. And the last topic I'm going to talk about is something very unique: how to sell your home in 1 hour. And of course, I love highlighting my hot new listings. Richard?
Barb, now the Fed is keeping mortgage rates high. The market does not seem to be as robust as it was just a year ago. So, what is the latest in the real estate market?
Well, everybody's been talking about mortgage rates. It's been all over the news. And actually, last 2 weeks ago, the rates went up as high as just over 8%, which absolutely created all kinds of demand destruction on this market. When I checked this morning, the rates were at 7.38%. So I think there's a little bit of supply and demand with rates. If they don't see mortgage applications, they kind of roll back those prices. And actually, I heard on the news this morning, some people are projecting that the Fed may lower the rates over the next year as many as 3 or 4 times. So that's really good news for everybody. It means the homes are going to sell, the buyers get a better payment, and it goes from there. But the prices haven't quite given away yet. If you look at places like Boulder, Fort Collins, there's some of the highest priced homes that are not on the coast in the country. And prices are actually up from a year ago. This past month, our prices went up. Inventory is kind of holding its own. But here's the kicker. In the Denver metro area, the volume of sales is down by 17%. In the Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak region, the volume of sales is down by 24%. So no more can these home sellers start, hoping for multiple offers and dogpile of buyers bidding way up over asking prices. Just not going to happen. Also, the average days on market has gone up to 45 days in the Pikes Peak region. So if you go back and you look at the history of where the market has gone, now our prices peaked out in April of 2022. And then when the Fed raised rates so fast last year, it actually in the Pikes Peak region caused the market values to dip by 11% in just about 6 months. However, since that time, since February through June, the prices went up. Then it went down in July, then up in August, and down in September, and up in October. So it's kind of holding its own, more or less. And I think there are some buyers that are actually sitting on the sideline going, I'm waiting for the prices to come down. And to be honest with you, because of supply and demand, I don't see that happening unless we get another 70s era interest rate extravaganza where they go up to 12, 13, 14, 17%. I've talked to many people that were buying houses at that time and had extraordinary mortgage payments. However, they also had lower sales prices. So we're running into this affordability gap that we have between what the buyer can afford payment wise and what the asking price is. And something is going to give. I'm seeing it in my listings right now. The volume of showings is far down, except for the lower price listings. And as people are looking backwards on historic sales going, well, how come my house isn't going to sell as much as that home does? And it's a different market. That's why. Then you also have the new construction part of this. So the builders are, they're really knocking it out of the park, in my view. They have actually captured a lot of market share since the rates went up. And it's partly because they have the resources and the scales to offer big incentives to the buyers. Like one of the local builders offers the buyer $17,000 to do with what they want if they purchase one of their homes. They could lower the price, they could buy down the interest rate, they could upgrade the home. That is amazing. And so they're definitely pulling away from the resale market because buyers absolutely do love brand new homes with all the new bells and whistles, even though they may not get a spectacular lot like they did in the past. And that it's helped them. They've actually picked up percent of market share. They went from 14% to 33% in just a year. Now, inventory is going up. Prices, I think, in my opinion, if I had the crystal ball and it was right, I would think that the prices are probably going to correct down a little bit over the next 4 months, but who knows what's going to happen in the spring. So we'll see. However, at any time in the market, it doesn't matter if the rates are high or if, it's a distressed market, it makes no difference. I was in the business back in 2008 when the meltdown started. And there were agents that got stuck with all these listings at this time because they were asking retail and nobody was buying retail, but there were homes selling like hotcakes. So if the seller knew how to price the home uber, what I call realistically versus optimistically, they would win every time. Let me give you an example. I just sold a gentleman's home down in the southwest part of town. And with that home, it was not so big, nice floor plan, not remodeled, and it needed work. The boiler's old, it needs some work. And this seller just didn't want to spend his retirement updating the home. He's like, I just want it as is. I just want to get out of the trap and not be worried about maintaining a home. So he decided to price the home very, very realistically. And just a few weeks ago, we had 87 people at the 1 hour open house. I was able to present to him 7 offers and it sold for retail. It's all about positioning and planning. And I know how to do that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And I just looked up some stats. They're a little bit old. These are probably a month older than what the Pikes Peak MLS has given us. But basically, there are still some homes selling above list price if they are priced right. However, 36+% of the homes had to drop their price because they were overpriced. And the average list price to sales price now is closer to 2%. So I think as we go forward into the winter months, we're going to see the people that decide to price their home, what I call realistically versus optimistically, are going to win every time. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyers team. I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about this interest rate and how it impacts the market right now, and how I kind of think we might have a little tiny bit of a correction if people don't price their homes correctly. And next up, we're actually going to be talking about what sellers should expect and what they should do in this new market condition. So if you are thinking of making a move, go to barbhasthebuyers.com. I have over 27,686 buyers in waiting on my website. I'd love to sit down and talk with you, give you a good idea what your home will sell for, give you tips on what to do and what not to do to get your home sold, and go over all the closing costs so you know exactly how much you're going to put in your pocket. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market and how people can be prepared if they want to buy or to sell. So, what should home sellers expect and do in a market situation like this one?
Well, number one, I'd recommend that you price it right. You have to look at the whole market, not just what has sold in your neighborhood. You got to look at what your competition is. And that's what we help our clients do. We also, I think it's a good idea to be like a builder, offer some incentives or do something to get people in the door, because most of these homes are very nice and they should be able to sell quickly. However, buyers are finding better choices out there. Be very aggressive with your pricing and make sure you pick the right agent that knows how to help you position the home so you get top dollar. And that's what we do for our sellers. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And there's all kinds of links on my website. Anything will allow you to put your contact information, and we'd love to help you and get started. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice and the host of the program. This is Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty's program. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the most common questions that are asked by home sellers, and Barb will have the answers. Stay tuned for that. Damn, woman, you are right on the money. Really. I mean, I didn't have my script marked. I just had it as the real estate instead of your real estate voice. By the time we get that hiccup out, I think you would have been within like 2 seconds of having the exact time.
Thank you. I talk too much.
You know what actually, no, you don't. You do a great job. You know what I mentioned on the air, because I was looking through, because I wanted to put more of you on my social media, and I'm going through, your stuff that's online and whatnot. Holy cow. 47. I mean, 4.7 out of 5 on Google reviews. Are you serious?
And the bad reviews are not my clients. They're buyers that were disgruntled from not getting the house, mostly.
I just, I mentioned 4.7, and I'm just like, I don't know. I can't imagine any business, restaurant, whatever, that gets 4.7. And that's not just like 5 or 6 reviews. That's a ton of reviews. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I get hurt if somebody gives me a bad review.
I do too. I mean, I have a hard time keeping it in perspective because I want everybody to love me. Mm-hmm. All right. I got segment 2. I've got a new clock and I'm ready to go. How about you, Barb?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner and proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I know many people ask you questions when they're getting ready to sell their homes. So what are the top frequently asked questions home sellers should be asking before they put their home up for sale?
Well, Richard, I did some research on this, and it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of generic questions, but I know the questions I'm getting asked. So here's the story. We're no longer in a massive real estate boom like we were in 2021 and the beginning of 2022. And I don't know that that will ever happen again in our lifetimes. It could be that if the Fed lowers the rates next year, if they do 4 corrections and maybe drop it down to 6%, it could kick the market back up, but we're right now with the average days on market at 45 days, the typical even or balanced market versus neither party has an advantage is probably where we're seeing an average of 90 days to sell a home. And just so you know, that's a lot of pain for most home sellers. They are expecting this thing to happen pretty quick once they put their house on the market. However, with 24% less buyers out there that can afford homes, we're going to see fewer showings, less activity, and you have to price it right to get them in the door for them to feel the love, just like you do. And so it's more of a seller's market right now, but only if you price it right, you prepare it right, and you hire the right agent to promote it right. I just met with a seller last night where when I saw it was listed with somebody else, when I saw how it was presented to market, I was like, oh no, this house isn't worth what they're asking. But then when I got out to the home and looked at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really nice. It's just not presented the proper way. So sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's price, sometimes it's both. So you have to make sure that you position the home to get the most money. Now, some people plan on getting the most money based on how much they want to put in their pocket when they move on to their next destination. And if I could do that every time, it would be a really easy job. But it's no longer the market where anybody with a pulse could sell homes and get them done. With a third of them not selling, you have to understand the market, know what needs to be done before you put the house on the market to make sure it's positioned to get top dollar. And we do this multiple times a week, every single week for our clients. We actually come out, we take a grand tour of your home. We give you tips on what to do, what not to do to get the house ready for sale. We'll go over all the closing costs and give you a really good idea on what your home will sell for and how much you put in your pocket when it sells. We do this all the time. And it's kind of, so the next question that we get, and we get this often on our website, is how much is my home worth? So I can't tell sometimes from looking at the history of the property. Sometimes it takes physically going and putting eyes on the property to see that, because you can't rely on Zillow. Pricing it right is a critical decision, and Zillow is not the company that decides what your home is worth. I know most of the public will go to Zillow and go, oh, they say my house is worth X. But you have to keep in mind that Zillow lost over $1 billion relying on their online quote algorithm, which is some sort of calculation of what they think a home is worth. And then they went and took that information and made these really high offers to sellers at the time. And then they tried to flip the homes and they lost over $1 billion. I remember going on a couple of appointments with clients where they said, hey, Zillow offered me this much. And I looked at them and said, you should take it, because I knew the market was not going to give them more. So, and that it came true. I don't know many businesses that could stay in business and lose $1 billion, but I would just not rely on their advice. That's a big thing. So figuring out what your home is worth, it involves a lot of things. Some homes have not been listed on while we had internet presence. You know, they might have been owned for a long time. We can't tell from just looking at the internet what kind of improvements that you've done to your home. Some of those really do add value. So we need to see that, put eyes on it, and find a way to promote it so that you get top dollar. And so that's one of the critical questions. And the way we figured that out, it starts with trying to compare apples to apples. That's what an appraiser does. Okay. But we're also looking at what the market's doing right now. And you have to position the home to attract the buyers in this current market. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. Another question that we get all the time is, how long will it take to sell my home? Well, first of all, people don't realize that if a third of the homes are selling, The ones that you're seeing that are the average days on market are only for the 2/3 of the homes that are selling. The rest of them are not, and they could take a lot longer. And it's all about seeing what the market reaction is. If you put your house on the market and it's sitting there week after week after week, and you don't do anything about it, you're probably going to get the same outcome, and it's not going to sell, right? And it'll sit on the market for a long time and it'll get stale. The other piece of that that's really critical is that all these tech companies like Zillow and Realtor.com, they will put the data up there for the world to see forever, right? So they'll say, oh yeah, you used to price it here, and this is how much you lowered the price. We can't get rid of that data, even though there's this industry norm and standard that, oh, if you take your house off the market for 30 days, the days on market will stop counting. No, it won't. It's up on Zillow, it's up on Realtor.com. You can't get away from it. So the buyers are pretty savvy. They can see the history. They can see everything about the home if they're interested in it by looking at it online. That's why the online presentation has to be perfect. And then once you go on the market's going to tell you if you missed on the price. If you're getting no showings, we're way, way off. We're way too high. If you're getting onesies, twosies showings, you're still very high, probably 3 to 5%. If you're getting showings and no offers, like plenty, I've got one listing like that right now, and it's not price in that case, it's condition. But sometimes it's price. Like I had one that we were getting showings and we were getting low ball offers. And he goes, no, I don't want that. And I said, maybe it's just a little tweak. And all we did was change the price $5,000 and boom, it sold for full price. So you have to react to the market and test the market to attract buyers to want to come to the home. The other question that's really, really important is about staging. So why is staging important? And there's a lot of weird perceptions out there about what staging is. To me, staging is a big, broad category about presenting the home to the market so that the buyer can visualize themselves there, right? And so it could mean bringing in furniture, although we're doing less and less of that. It could mean decluttering. It could mean digitally staging, which is one of the services that we offer. But at the end of the day, I've talked to buyers. When I showed them pictures of cluttered rooms, they'll say, I'm not even going to look at that house. I'm not even going to drive by. If they don't care enough to clean up their home and make it look neat and tidy enough for me to come see it, I'm not even going to waste my gas money to check that out, because they can't. There's a certain amount of buyers that cannot look past that. So that's why it's so critical. And even the national stats indicate that home sellers can get as much as 3% more selling their home if they're properly presented to the market, i.e. staged. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. I've been here in the real estate business since 1996, been around for a while. And right now we're talking about the top questions that most home sellers ask when they're getting ready to sell their home. And we're going to talk about a few more when we come back from the break. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call. We can handle homes in any market. And you can call us at 719-301-3900, or you can go to barbhasthebuyers.com. I have over 27,686 buyers that have given me their contact information just on my little website looking for homes. So there's a pretty good chance I could find 100 buyers that might be a good match for your home. So give us a call if you'd like a free in-home consultation. If you're thinking of move in the next 2 to 6 months, we'd love to help you get started. Call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the top questions that a home seller should ask when they're getting ready to sell their home. Everyone knows that I've been recommending you for years, the highest recommendation I can to my friends and to people on the radio. Tell us, what are some of the key questions a home seller should ask from a real estate agent?
Well, we have actually a great report that you can get on our website, or you can just call us and we'll mail it to you. It's entitled The 10 Questions You Must Ask Before You Hire a Real Estate Agent. And it highlights all the hard questions. Some of these agents don't want to answer these questions. Questions like, how many homes have you sold? How many homes have you sold around here? What's your average list price to sales price? If they don't have good answers or any answers for these, I keep looking. So that's one thing that you can get for free on our website, barbhasthebuyers.com. You click on the green button and there are all our free reports right there. Here's an example. This is one question that puts agents kind of in the hot seat, and it's sort of fun for me. What is your commission? Now, I always know if it's a very, bottom line kind of direct person, if that's the first question that they ask. Now, a lot of people assume that all real estate agents are the same and they all charge the same. Well, that's actually illegal. We can't do that. There's something called the antitrust law that doesn't allow us to do that. But the decision to hire an agent should not solely be based on the commission. What it should be based on is really, what is that person going to do for me to help me reach my goal, which is to sell my home, presumably for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. If you've got an agent that picks up their smartphone and takes some happy snaps of your home and still charges you a high commission, that's not doing you any good. So you want to see what they have to offer and make a really logical decision about not just commission, but how much money they're going to get you. That's a big question. Another question that I get is, how do I choose the right agent to handle the sale? So the stats are, in this whole Front Range area, 81% of all area real estate agents sell 3 or less homes a year. You can make more working at Target or McDonald's or someplace like that. I hate to say it, it kind of breaks my heart. However, the problem is that the industry isn't really very good at teaching agents on the things that you would think they would know how to do: marketing, handling objections, negotiating, providing great customer service, and getting to the finish line. They just don't know how to do it. In fact, you wouldn't believe how many people of my clients tell me, hey, I saw him on the Ring camera where the agent was talking smack about my house to the buyer. Why are they doing that? Aren't they supposed to be selling it? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that goes on. So it's really good to hire an agent that knows how to do this. Another really, really important question, I'll do one more, then we'll wrap it up, Richard, is, should I sign a long-term agreement? So here's a news flash. A lot of people don't realize that in the state of Colorado, we have to use the state forms, but there's nothing in the state forms that talks about what the agent is going to do to accomplish your goal. It's all very, okay, I'm going to put it in the MLS and I'm going to not expose your secrets, but there's nothing about marketing in there other than the MLS. There's no real detail. So you can fire an agent if you think that they're not performing according to what they have promised, but many times they don't put it in writing. So that's a very good question. Can I cancel if I'm not satisfied with you? There is a cancellation clause built into the contract, but it's kind of subjective, and some agents will try to hold you to the agreement, which I don't think is a very good business relationship. You want raving fans. We want raving fans. And that's why we offer our 6 satisfaction guarantees: communication guarantee, honest promises guarantee, reality-based selling price, reality-based timetable, and also, all these different guarantees that we offer that you can tell us to go home if you're not happy, because we want raving fans. And another question that we get all the time is, do I have to leave for showings? Do I have to leave for the inspection? I've actually had inspectors kick my clients out of their own homes, which is, I don't know about you, Richard, but that would not go well with me. What do you think?
Would not go well with me or with anyone I know.
Yeah, exactly. So you control all this stuff, and that's part of what we help you do. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And if you want a free report, the top 10 questions to ask before you hire a real estate agent, visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Go to the green button that'll be in the upper right corner. It says free report. You'll be good to go. Short break. When we come back, we'll we'll be discussing how do I know if my agent is doing a good job on trying to sell my home. Stay tuned for that. You know, if her name is Barb Schlinker, they answered your question like that.
Uh, I went way too long, DJ. I don't know how we're going to fix that. You could choppy it up.
I'm planning on chopping up the first segment a little bit more.
Okay.
All right.
Had a plan. That's good.
Let me
Sorry.
run to the men's room real quick if I could. A lot of caffeine here this morning.
Well, I got caffeine and water. My lemonade. I bought the stuff online that cures hangovers. This is really good. It's pretty neat. It's just like a little shooter, and it has something in it that kind of consumes the alcohol. Once a week, we'll go out and drink and stuff. And I don't like the way I feel the next day. So that and lemon water is a secret sauce in my view.
All right. I'm trying fulvic acid to, it's supposed to help your body accept more water.
Yeah,
because I always feel dehydrated.
Yeah. Around here, it's easy. It's easy for that. Oh, I'm sorry I talked too long on that one.
We'll make it work.
Got a little excited. It seems like when you listen to the show on air, though, there's a couple fluffy minutes at the end where you're just playing that music. Too much time on my hands. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's something different, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had to make concessions when we were producing it for Denver.
Right.
They
Right.
needed a shorter product.
Yeah. I wasn't making money on that. You know, I tried it for a while.
And you got to. I think you have to see how far you can expand before you know the parameters.
Right.
And maybe that just wasn't the right station in the Denver market. I don't
Could
know.
be, but even, you know, I think I had one closing from it. It just seemed, I don't know.
Could be a lot more work than it was worth. You know, I mean, you might get some benefit out of it. It's just
right. I know, you know,
you have to weigh that out.
Most of my raving fans, though, are Richards fans.
Do you need a minute to mark this up?
I just need, yeah, I can go from the very beginning and then go as we go along. So
okay,
let me just reset the clock. Okay. All right, Barbara, I got a new script and I'm good to go here. How about you? Take your time. I don't want to rush. I'm not trying to rush you. In fact, I can mark something up while you're doing that.
This one might be redundant a little bit, but.
Well, they say that you have to hear something at least 3 times before it even sinks into your brain. So
what'd you say?
What did you say? Redundant. This one is somewhat redundant to the last one.
Actually, it was a joke. I was saying to DJ, he's saying you have to repeat it 3 times before it sinks into people's brain.
Oh.
So I was saying, what did you say?
I'm slow, Richard. Sorry.
Time. No, it's good. The problem is sometimes I think I'm funny. And then oddly enough, there are sometimes that I'm really not as funny as I think I am.
That's not right.
My wife and my children remind me of that often.
Oh,
kids are great for that.
Well, and it's especially, you know, when you're dating or, you know, you're in a new relationship, some little funny way of kidding about something was cute. And, you know, we've been with each other for a while. You've actually used that little thing like 5 times already. So.
that's just within the past 2 hours.
Exactly, right?
So I cleaned, we're redoing our master bath
Right.
and bedroom and deck all at the same time.
Oh, wow. The infamous, that's what happens without front teeth. Infamous desk.
Yeah.
Desk.
Deck.
Deck.
Deck that's becoming an addition. So it's like, wow. Okay. Anyway, it took me 2 days to empty my master closet. I'm like, what is all this stuff?
Everybody I know, including friends, my wife, and me, and especially women, just have, I'm willing to bet you have so many clothes and so many shoes. And it's like, wait, am I going to wear this again?
Goodwill's gonna do well, or I tried to go to that Life Network place, but
Right.
they wouldn't take any more clothes. I'm like, okay.
I will say this, I drop stuff off lately sometimes at Goodwill, but then, I get done dropping off, and then I'll take a walk through. It is amazing some of the stuff that people send to Goodwill. I mean, really expensive stuff that if you were to shop there, it's more like a consignment center than it is Goodwill.
Yeah. And I went through all my jewelry. I have a lot of costume jewelry, nothing fancy,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't wear this. Just toss. Some of the stuff's brand new. So I get it home and go, I don't like it. And I don't want to mail it back. So
that was my mom all the time. She had, and it was so great because she let the kids, not my kids, but other kids play with her stuff because they thought it was, so diamonds here and rubies here and all this stuff. And it was all costume.
Yeah. Well, costume jewelry has value. If you ever watch those shopping YouTube videos, it's kind of fun to watch it and see, oh, this one costs money and whatever.
It is. I never used to watch things like Pawn Stars or whatever that traveling antique roadshow is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there. People say, "Oh, mindless entertainment to get away from the news," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I thought that at first, but they're far from mindless entertainment." I mean, it's amazing. I always try to, value. Okay, so that looks like it's probably worth $100. That looks like it's worth $10,000. I'm never even close. One way or the other, right?
Usually opposite.
Yeah, it is exactly. I'm almost exactly wrong. So,
well, I like it when they win big, or they
Yes.
weren't expecting it. It's kind of fun. So. So we had got junk out, and then he was trying to buy a bike off of my husband, and
and how do you do that? Off of like Facebook Market or what?
I don't think he's advertised it yet. The guy didn't really have the money. He gave him like a really good price, but anyway, but we were just like, okay, this stuff, we had to have the master suite treated for mold.
Right.
So all that furniture and all that linen, all that stuff was in there. I'm like, everything goes, everything, except for my clothes. And I'll wash the ones I want to keep. And I got rid of a lot of that stuff, but it's crazy.
It does make me think we are basically so arid, but there's still, I mean, I talked to so many people like you, Barb, who've got mold with a problem in their basement or a shower or whatever the deal is. I always come back thinking, if it's this bad in an arid district, how bad it must be, when you're living somewhere that's humid.
Well, we're still dealing with the beagle. We had a beagle. Was so
I remember that.
But he, when, in his last year in his life, he was kind of in assisted living in our home.
Yep.
And so he had some problems,
We got a dog just like that right now.
Couldn't hear, he's peeing all over the place. And we put down new carpet. I thought I kills the floor. And then when we pulled it out for this mold rehab, the smell came back.
Wow.
Okay, why is that going on? So I had Wendy's husband come out last weekend, and he scraped the floors and put kills down and pulled all the trim. It still smells. They're going to have to cut the drywall.
Oh my gosh.
So
But I understand it. We've got an older dog, and we try to let her out. She's pretty good about trying to let us know, but it's impossible. When they're older, they're just going to have accidents. And
yeah.
she's been such a good dog, and she's old. I just have a hard time bringing myself to discipline her because she does the best she can. She still tries to go out.
Doesn't know, maybe.
She wants a treat.
Yeah.
Me before you know it.
I mean, we had to carry him down the 2 stairs the last year of his life, and
Yep.
poor baby.
All right. I am good to go. How about you, Barb?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and it educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker. She's the owner, proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most people don't sell a home very often. And if they're upgrading to another home, they often have to sell the current home in order to buy the new one. So, what should home sellers do to sell their home for the most money? And how do they know things are going to be okay when they put it on the market?
Well, I had this idea, Richard. I thought about maybe becoming the Dr. Laura for real estate and let people call me and ask me their questions. What do you think of that?
I think it would be great. I think for the average homeowner, it'd be great. I think some of the people that are in your business, it would not be so good because I'm sure some of them listen to your radio show to try to get up to speed because they only have sold a couple of homes or just got their real estate license, don't know anything about marketing, don't know anything about staging or drones or photographs or all of the rest. Would you be as crabby as Dr. Laura?
No, I don't think so. It's just I get these calls a couple times a week from people where their home is on the market and they're really frustrated that it's not going as planned. And then I get to hear all their complaints about what's not being done, what is being done, what their problems are, lack of communication, the failures essentially. And I can't do anything because they are someone else's client, right? Other than give them my opinion. But at the end of the day, there's a reason for that failure rate. 1/3 of the homes right now are not selling as planned. Okay. And if you don't do anything about it over time, it's going to net you less money. The best way to make the most money in any market is price the home right and make sure it's marketed right too. And so how do you know that? I mean, some people are very kind and very forgiving and they'll see, okay, so the agent went and took some pictures of my house with his smartphone and put them on there. And you can tell because they're very narrow. You can tell they use their cell phone instead of professional photography, or the lighting is bad or something like that. It's pretty obvious. So call a family member or one of your kids or your friend and go, would you look at my house and tell me what you think? Just pretend that you don't know me. Tell me what you really think of my home, right? And the marketing that's being done. Because I'm helping one client right now, and the marketing that was going on before I took this listing was awful. I mean, there were pictures of boxes in the living room that were no longer there. So how come the agent couldn't come back, even if they were going to do it with their cell phone, and take pictures of the room that looked more austere and clear? And so when we put it on the market, we marketed it right. We got it sold right away at top price and it's closing. So that's what sellers want. They don't want their house to linger on the market week after week, month after month. But we can't, some sellers won't budge on whatever price they think a buyer will pay. And if it's a pricing thing and they won't budge, there's nothing that we can do about it because it's their decision. It was another seller I met with last week too, that, when we were talking about pricing and his house was already off the market, I said, well, this is where I think it will sell. And he goes, oh, well, no, I wanted to price up here. And I said, but you were on the market at this price, which was far lower than that. He didn't even know that his agent had lowered the price without permission.
Whoa.
And that's I don't think that's allowed. It's the seller's decision at the end of the day. So crazy stuff takes place. So I get to hear the complaining, the frustration that goes on. 2 years ago, we didn't have that problem. Everything that went on the market sold with a bidding war, and it sold like hotcakes. And it was a good time for the sellers and not so much of a good time for the buyers. But now it's changing because fewer buyers can afford homes. They have more choices. They can negotiate the price. They don't have to make an offer on homes that they really don't like that much. So, having to sell a home, and if you have to sell that home to move to your next destination, you want to plan ahead and you want to get it right, because there are some people that will actually reach out and go buy their next home. And then they'll come to the agent and go, okay, sell my home. It's going to happen fast, right? And it may not. So it's all about pricing and positioning. And there are a lot of people that lose a lot of sleep if they have to worry about getting stuck with there are a lot of people that lose a lot of sleep if they have to worry about getting stuck with two homes. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. I've been here in the real estate business since 1996. Maybe I should do that sometime, Richard. Maybe do a call-in show and see what people have to say. What do you think?
I think that'd be interesting. I think it'd give you a good idea, get your finger on the pulse of exactly what's out there and what's on the minds of people in the market right now.
I'd get a kick out of it. But at the end of the day, most home sellers want certainty. They want to know that their house is going to sell. They want to know that they're going to get the price that they want and need. They want to know that once they accept a contract, that the sale is going to go through. And they want to make sure. There are some people that kind of wait to go on the market until they definitely have their next destination lined up. I recently had a client that signed an agreement with me, but because they went out to look for their next destination, they couldn't find anything that they wanted. So they decided to slow it down a little bit and build their next home. So we're going to go on the market later, which is fine, but they want to make sure that they're going to have the funds to make their next move. And so what we see all the time are home sellers that if they go on the market and they don't pick the right person to help them handle the sale, time goes by, the property gets stale on the market, and the market's going to give you big time clues right away. You can tell by the number of showings. You can tell by the interest. We can tell in the office when, as soon as we go on the market, we get calls in the office. Hey, I want to show that home. Is that available? Kind of thing. So that's really, really important. And then there are things that happen all the time. So let me give you an example. When somebody does bring an offer, okay, one thing that home sellers don't really know is that when they're on the market and they haven't accepted a contract, they're not really committed to anything. I mean, they're just on the market. However, once they accept an offer, there's very few ways for a seller to get out of a contract. So at that point, the process is moving forward. However, the buyer has a half dozen ways to get out and get their earnest money back. No harm, no foul. It's all good. And yet they've had the house off the market for a while. So those are the kind of situations that we are experts at, and we help our clients to make the right decision about what to do and to really carefully consider the offers that they're going to make, because they're more committed, in my view, than the buyer is. Now, it's different in different states. If you go to places like, I was talking to somebody that made an offer on a house in Tennessee, and they basically made a deposit, changed their mind, and then they're not going to get their deposit back. And that's unfortunate. And that actually does happen here in this market with new construction. So you have to be very, very careful to read the contracts. You got to make sure you hire the agent that understands the contracts, that can explain it to you, so there are no surprises. Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody comes and says, all right, I love your home. I want to make an offer. However, I have a house to sell. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, will you take your house off the market and wait for me to sell mine, which is not on the market yet. What do you think, Richard?
I think that I would rely on your advice, but I don't think that would be a workable plan for me.
Yeah, it really depends, and we're gonna deep dive on that topic in the next segment. But it's one of those areas that the home seller, most of them tell me when I ask them this question, I'm not comfortable with that at all, because I'm afraid that by the time their house sells, or it doesn't sell, then I've missed out on other potential buyers that might like the home. So what we do is protect our buyers with different negotiating skills. And did you know, Richard, that most sellers only interview one agent, and usually it's just the agent that sold them the home? Did you know that?
That is stunning to me. I mean, I understand why people might feel comfortable doing that, but it's the biggest investment of most people's life. And I would think that they want somebody who is up to date on the very latest and has been experienced, sees all the new technology. It's unfortunate, I think. You should take your pick of a bunch of people and then select the best one.
Yeah, I mean, most people go with who they know or who they referred to, and there's not a lot of thought put into it. And then I get to hear the frustration when they call me and go, "Well, how come my house didn't sell? How come I didn't get this price?" kind of thing. So I try to give them the facts and hopefully help them, but basically I can't do anything if they're currently with an agreement with another agent. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're kind of talking about sort of, how do I know if my agent's doing a good job of selling the home or not? I talked to one seller just a couple of days ago that said, I haven't heard from her at all. My house is just sitting there. We only got one offer. And this was the biggest surprise to me, is that she said that her agent told her that she thought the price was fine, but there were no showings and there were no offers. And the seller was willing to lower the price to get it sold. That's just not logical to me. What do you think, Richard?
That is so counterintuitive. Makes no sense.
Yeah, so that you have to change the outcome. And the people that succeed, if they're not succeeding up front, of course they want the most money, but you got to change the outcome if what they're planning on doing is not working. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been here in the business since 1996. And if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to know kind of what we do, we give you tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. If you invite us, even though your house may be on the market, we are allowed to speak with you. We just can't do anything until you're signed to an agreement. But you can call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She is your voice, host of the program as well. She's with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and you can reach her at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about you can find great information about selling one of your largest assets, your home, as we're talking with Barb Schlinker, and you can find great information about selling one of your largest assets, your home, on barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some of the ways a home seller knows that their home sale is going well?
The market's going to tell you. If it's presented to the market the right way with the right price and the right pictures, you're going to have a good volume of showings. You're going to have good feedback, and people are going to love it. And eventually you're going to find the right buyer. You'll be getting offers. That's the market speaking to you. But if it's not happening, it's either pricing or marketing or both. And the market will tell you once it's on the market if you're not getting offers. If you're off target, you have to change something. And that's what we help our clients do. We also have investors that will pay cash for homes. So we have all kinds of solutions that we offer our home sellers. And all you need to do is give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to sell your home in 1 hour, plus Barb's hot new listing. Stay tuned for that. I like the way you juggle things. You are good.
I was rambling on that one.
Well, you're good on your feet. I mean, all right, here we
Dr.
go.
Laura. I'll probably be sued by Dr. Laura.
It's funny because I think she is still on the air. Isn't she still on the air in some markets?
I think she's on Sirius XM or somewhere.
Yeah. I was going to say for a while she was so hot. My problem is it kind of like we talked about this I think before, and that is Dave Ramsey. After you've listened for like 4 or 5 programs, it's a lot of times it's pretty much the same thing. Today she's yelling at this person who asked her a question about this, but she yelled at somebody last week or 2 weeks ago about the same thing. All right.
Reminds me of Judge Judy.
Oh, Judge Judy, yes.
She gets paid to be shrill, I guess, huh?
She does, and as a former trial attorney, she sometimes just puts on a show. I mean, the results she comes to is not really fair. It doesn't really make sense, but it makes good TV. Although maybe my values are just different from her. Let me know when you are ready, Barb.
I'm going to study this up a little bit.
Me too.
A little bit of new content today. Okay.
I do like the way you mix, in some of the new content with some of the old content, because people can go to the podcast, but they don't always. And you may catch, 20 minutes of your show at the beginning or 20 minutes at the end or whatever. So I think with you, bringing new stuff in, but sometimes going over something you covered, you don't do it every week, of course, but I don't think there's a danger in doing that.
Okay. Hang on just a second. My
Yep.
brother just popped in. Oh, I need to move. What's that? Alex. You like my Christmas decorations? Christmas starts, that's what I told her. Christmas starts November 1st. Yeah. We still have to have Thanksgiving. Max is coming out, by the way.
Christmas isn't good. Yeah, they closed on the first, and well. Oh, so they want to target like January market. So they're going to take their time and go, and then sometime in the next month or so, they're going to buy us a couple of tickets. Suggestion for we could go to one. They did. Our tank could be busy. You can call my. native circles.
Someone on Halloween called and said that they saw the dog inside by themselves. I mean, it's like, well, when I know people leave their dogs by themselves when it's gonna work. Right. Yeah, she called and was like, the dog is inside wearing diapers and has no water. Somebody's still living there. Is it? You see the photos for snappers?
So he's been wondering when he can feel free to go rent place. To get obligated to rent place. And be safe enough to where this thing's gonna go through, right?
Past inspection, right?
We're past inspection. I told him to wait until we got through with the appraisal. We did.
I had one appraisal come in last.
So the place was fine. So
That's the worst.
I said, I'm fairly confident the appraisal coming okay, and that's the last hurdle. You should be safe to move. And then he asked me, so he goes, what happens if I pay to move in to the new place? And for some reason this falls through, who's gonna reimburse me for my losses?
Nobody.
And he goes, sorry, I'm driving you crazy, I'm just a little freaked out. I said, I think the buyer's agent, he told me the appraisal came in fine, so you're good to go. And he goes, thank you, sir. Would the house be paid off before the 30th of this month? Well, we close on the 29th. I know they
Pretty close.
They wire it off immediately.
Yeah, I don't know what day the 29th is.
It's a
Monday, Wednesday, yeah. I mean, they wire it off, but yeah, it'll be paid. They don't have to make, if he's thinking about, does he have to make the payment on the first? No, because they're gonna order the payoff. I wonder if that's his question.
I don't know if that's his question.
All right, I got one more segment to record, so. All right, I'm back. Sorry,
No problem. I mean,
I had to stretch my legs a little
get a
bit.
chance to talk to somebody like that, take it.
Yeah,
Okay. I've got a new clock. I've got everything. You
so
ready?
that one client I was talking about, he got a reverse mortgage. I don't know. I have to wait till after it closes to tell the story, but he got a reverse mortgage. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that just, I mean, it might be good for some people, right? Because if they have a paid for house, they can pull this equity out, do what they want with it, and not have to make payments and live there until they die. But it doesn't factor in things like maintaining the home. And was his issue. He was facing like a $35,000 bill to replace the boiler and the air conditioner. And he's like, I need to get out of this trap. I don't want to spend my retirement money on it. So,
I don't know. You could have an all-purpose, somebody like you that wears 3 or 4 other hats that could be out there, because everything is more complicated than people think it is. I mean, it's just, everything seems like, well, it's easy, and no, it's not as easy as you think it is. And it's amazing. Things could go sideways pretty quickly.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. There's a reason they came up with that saying, and you ought to pump the brakes sometimes.
Yeah. He's happy though.
Good.
Getting her done.
Well, and I think, managing expectations, totally important. You good, Barb?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I saw you're looking down. I thought you were working. Okay. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, you've been talking about your unique program to sell a home in as little as 1 hour, with about 1/3 of the homes not selling these days. How does your program work?
Well, Richard, not everybody wants to go through the traditional way of selling a home, which is you put it on the market and you have all these buyers come through, and some pick it apart and some say it's great, and others, might want it. But at the end of the day, it could take some time. It's kind of disruptive to people's lives. So we actually have a really cool cash offer program. And I hear from sellers weekly about how their house isn't selling. They're complaining about their agents not helping them sell their home, not communicating with them about what's going on. So, how do you solve that problem if you need to sell? So some people that, because we're getting more and more of this lately, where they'll say, oh, I love your home, I want to make an offer, but I have a house to sell. And you wouldn't believe how many agents think it's okay to float that idea of, hey, I will send you an offer contingent on my listing selling, but it's not on the market. It's going to be on the market soon. I think they're going to price it right, blah, 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 right? So it's interest in your home, but I wouldn't really say it's very solid, because you can't get to the finish line unless that person sells their home. And what the rules are in this local MLS is, if you accept an offer like that, contingent on somebody's home selling, you have to mark it as if it's accepted a contingent contract. Here's the problem with that. All of these tech companies like Realtor.com and Zillow will show it as being under contract. And so that creates all kinds of demand destruction of the other buyers that don't have a house to sell, think your home is not available. Plus, not even a lot of the agents know what that status means. So it's very confusing. But we have worked it out. And so it can be done. You have to just be very, very careful that everybody's protected along the way. I had one recently where the buyer made an offer and there were no other choices. So what I mean by that is that the seller didn't have any other offers. He had people looking at the home, but there were no other offers. So this offer came in, hey, I'd like to buy your home contingent on my home selling that's currently on the market up in Denver, but it's not sold yet. Okay. And so the seller's like, well, since I don't have other choices, I will consider that. However, we're going to keep marketing in a different way so that we don't create demand destruction on other buyers that come in. And sure enough, the unexpected happened. A couple of weeks later, another offer came in that was much better than the first offer. However, we'd given the first buyer a right to remove their sale contingency in 72 hours. So we have to, before we accept buyer number 2, we got to go back to buyer number 1 and say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you can buy this home if you can remove your sale contingency, which I honestly didn't think it was going to happen, because the way they originally presented the offer, they said this buyer was going to have to sell his home and he was going to buy my listing for cash, and he could not qualify for a loan. So I kind of figured buyer number 2 was going to end up getting the house. However, probably 3 hours before the 72-hour deadline, I get in writing from buyer number 1 that they're removing their sale contingency all of a sudden, and they all of a sudden qualify for this special program where they're able to take their equity out of their home and have enough to make a small loan. And so, of course, this is after hours. Of course, that buyer's agent was at the bar. So I couldn't really get good information out of her. She just shot me a text like, here it is. It's good to go. What's your problem? And I'm like, I don't know that that's good to go. So we finally got information, and there are investors out there that will loan you money based on the equity you have in your home without being qualified for payments, just based on the equity, and they charge a fee for that money, and they allow you to actually buy your next home first before you sell your existing home. Then they give you 90 days to sell your next home. So if you're interested in that program, give us a call. Not too many agents know about it. It's really cool. But the ones that just say, hey, I'm going to take my house off the market and show it, contingent, it's a problem because, you're waiting for somebody else to sell their home. I got another offer on one of my listings contingent on their home selling, and they were selling multiple properties. The problem is that the one home they were selling was in another state, in a very rural area, had been there for a long time. We didn't know if it was priced right or not. We didn't know how long we would have to wait to make that happen. So we just couldn't put the deal together because there was so much uncertainty in that transaction. And, a lot of people put their house on the market thinking that Zillow is the correct information about what their home is worth. And at the end of the day, you got to look at the full picture. And that's part of what we help our clients do, is take a really hard look at what has sold, what's available right now, what is selling, what currently is having pending contracts, and why they are selling. And that way the seller can make a really good empirical decision, trying to be objective about where to position the home in terms of price. And you can't always, unfortunately, you can't always rely on those historic sales, because you just never know what's happening in the market right now. I just sold a beautiful townhome up in the north part of town, and it was in gorgeous condition. The buyer was getting a VA loan, and to my surprise, the appraiser's opinion of value came in $17,000 below the contract price. Well, that's a problem. Because if the buyer's getting 100% financing, he needs to come up with $17,000 in order to close. And the seller was not going to budge on their price. We actually thought we'd already priced it very, very realistically. But it ended up working out because the buyer did put enough of a down payment where it didn't make any difference. And that's one of the benefits of a VA loan. If the appraiser is coming in low, if the buyer's putting a down payment, it doesn't matter. They will appraise 100% of the appraised value. So even though the appraised value came in $17,000 below the contract price, because the buyer was putting $30,000 down, they're good to go. And we closed. But when that happens, actually the VA loan is the only loan where you can challenge the appraisal, which we did try to do. It wasn't successful, but it didn't matter anyway. But not everybody knows how to do that. So you really want to work with an agent that understands all these ins and outs of contracts and negotiations, because if you make an offer contingent on a home selling, as a buyer, it puts you in kind of a weak negotiating position, because you're not certain that it's going to go through, and neither is the seller. It is possible the seller may reject that offer. But there are some sellers that, I ask this question every time I meet with the seller, and there are some that say, well, we're not in a big hurry to sell, so we might consider that, So it really depends on the nature of the offer. And you definitely want a buyer to fall in love with your home. I don't think it's a great emotional thing to get an offer and just summarily reject it. You should try to get to the negotiating table as best you can, but the sale contingencies are usually the biggest trick that most agents and most sellers don't really know exactly how to overcome. And that's part of what we do for our sellers. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. I'm also the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about some different ways that you could sell your home in just 1 hour. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and you can reach her at 719-301-3900. We're talking with Barb about how sellers can sell their current home worry-free. What are some solutions that you've got for people who need to sell a house first before they can buy the next home?
Well, I mean, there are special financing programs, there's bridge programs, there's the program I just mentioned where you could pull your equity out for a fee and not have to qualify for the payments. If you have a home that needs some work, you can price it very realistically and let the buyers dogpile on. And we do that all the time, even in this market. But we also have a cash offer system, and this is amazing. So you can go to barbhasthecashoffers.com today and be able to put your information in. We'll be able to submit your home, and I can have in hand 5 or 6 cash offers that can purchase your home in 3 to 4 weeks, move when you want, and you don't have to worry about getting your house on the market, making it look pretty for sale, dealing with people coming through, dealing with crazy inspectors asking for stupid stuff. You don't have to do any of that. And that's one of the things that's unique to us. It's not just one cash buyer. I just helped a home seller where I presented 5 different offers to them. So they had choices to make the right decision that works for them. So to find out more about that, you can either go to barbhasthebuyers.com or barbhasthecashoffers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. That's Barb Schlinker. She is the host of the program and the proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You and your team, the only company I would recommend to people out there thinking of selling their homes, Barb, or downsizing to a smaller home. Call Barb at 719-301-3900. Call her on homes like these, your hot new listings, Barb.
Oh, I have some amazing ones. Beautiful home down close to Fort Carson, 4 bedrooms, quartz granite everywhere. It's beautiful. Under 450 on 10874 Lavania Place. Another beautiful 4-bedroom on 6153 Nash, all in the low 4s. A gorgeous home on a big sprawling lot that backs to open space on 6820 Weeping Willow. A spectacular home for 55 and over neighborhood. Oh, the finishes in here are absolutely amazing. At 6299 Lockside View, priced in the upper 6s. We also have an amazing raised ranch in Glen Eagle on 260 Palma Valley that backs to dedicated open space with a walking trail, priced in the upper 6s. An amazing property on 5 acres on 1217 Gull Lane in Peyton in the mid 7s. Also in the Glen Eagle area in Stone Crossing, 415 Woodmont Drive, beautiful 2-story with the 3-car garage, 4 bedrooms up. And then, of course, a spectacular house on Mohawk Heights, 2.5 million, amazing home. And coming up, open this weekend, I have 3 great properties. Beautiful remodeled home with a 3-car garage on 1203 Quivira Drive. We also have an unbelievably gorgeous home on 6643 La Plata Peak in Ridgeview at Stetson Hills at 479,999, and a great home in Fountain in the mid to upper 3s on 7380 Sneffels. So if you are thinking of checking out those properties, you can go to barbhasthebuyers.com or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program and the proprietor of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll talk again soon. Thank you so much, Barb.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.